You are listening to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast presented by Realm of the Mist Entertainment with your host, John Tolley.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. We are coming to you tonight from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. My name is John Mark Tolley, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Christopher Stolley.
Good, you remembered my name.
I did. Also joining us back again this time is Mr. Keith Zephyr. Keith, how you doing, man?
Was that supposed to be a Palpatine impression? Because I think it got lost in translation there. Hey, everybody.
It was my Mick Jagger. What, it didn't come across right? I can't get no satisfaction.
Okay, somebody call him up because I desperately need to have the actual Palpatine say that now. I have a mighty need.
Ian McDermott as Palpatine sings.
Lord Vader, you can't always get what you want. But through the dark side, you get what you need. Sorry.
Oh, man. Well, we are just off the cusp of Celebration just having ended, and people are still filing out of Chicago even as we speak, and we had a lot of stuff happen, and a lot of news, a lot of announcements, but the first thing that I wanted to start with was one of the things that we didn't get. And I know there's a lot of speculation, but we did not get any official news on an Obi-Wan movie or TV series.
Which is
I know there's a lot of speculation on that, but that was one thing we didn't get. Is that something you're surprised at? Or do you think that's something that they still haven't worked out all the details, so they didn't want to make an announcement officially right at this moment?
I think they might be holding announcements about it back because they don't want to oversaturate it with so many announcements all at once. Because we got a lot of stuff out of Star Wars Celebration so far. We got Episode 9 title in the first teaser trailer. We got the Mandalorian announcement. We got Clone Wars Season 7. Jedi Fallen Order on the game side of things. We got a ton of stuff, and I feel like they're holding back announcing an Obi-Wan TV series, so they're not overshadowing some of the smaller stuff that they launched with Star Wars Celebration.
I'm right there with Keith. I'm right there with Keith on that. I think the fact of the matter is that Obi-Wan announcing an Obi-Wan either movie or TV series would just completely overshadow even Episode 9. I think they would hold that until after 9 is released, and probably after they've launched the stream service and gotten things like the Mandalorian. And you got to remember too, they didn't really talk about the Cassian Andor's show that's supposed to be happening on the stream service too, and I mean that is officially announced.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they basically just announced the things that are coming within the next, because they didn't really talk about the Big Off and Weiss series or the Ryan Johnson trilogy. They didn't really talk about those either. So I think you're right. I think they basically were keeping it to the things that are coming out within the next year, and kind of, held off on any big announcements for anything beyond that. At least that's my thought.
No, I agree with you. I think once they launch the streaming service and they really see how the Mandalorian's taken and whether or not the Cassian one actually kicks off or not, and of course Season 7 of Clone Wars, I think I think the floodgates for the next phase, for lack of a better term, of Star Wars will happen after Episode 9. They just don't want to take anything away from the ending of the saga.
Yeah.
Right now, that is their main focus.
Which is a sound marketing strategy, you know.
Oh, definitely. The other thing is one of the big news coming out that wasn't an announcement as far as a new movie was the fact that they said that they're going to be taking a bit of on the movie side of things after Episode 9, and I personally think this is a pretty good idea as long as it's not too big. What do you guys think, and how long of a break do you think they should take as far as like a break between the end of this movie and the beginning of the next movies?
2 years.
3 years?
2 years.
2 years. I agree. 2021, I think, is a good time for release.
I think they definitely should slow down their production of movies. You know, part of the absence makes the heart grow fonder type thing. You got to remember, during the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, we waited 3 years between movies. Now,
yes.
This may be a selfish statement on my part. I've gotten a little spoiled on getting one every year or something like that, but I'm also getting older and longer in the tooth in the world. You know what I mean? So I kind of want to see as much Star Wars as I can before I'm put in the ground and made as worm food. So, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of Star Wars to come.
I'm sure there is, but I want to be alive to see as much of it as I can before, you know, it's my time to rejoin the Force. So,
yeah.
As that being said, maybe it's a little selfish, but I would definitely slow down to maybe every other year movies so they could give more quality to the scripts and everything else. But I wouldn't go back to that 3+ years or 19 years waiting between one saga and the next.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, definitely not the 19. You know, I think I agree with you. 3 is pushing it, but 2 is a good every other year for a movie. I think, you know. And do you think they should just stick with like the new trilogies, or do you think they should go back and start doing the Star Wars stories again, the individual stories?
Keith, you want to shoot at that one first?
You know, I'm kind of torn on the whole Star Wars stories thing, because on the one hand, Rogue One was amazing in my opinion for Star Wars, and that kind of sets the benchmark for what a Star Wars story should be. And I haven't actually gotten a chance to actually see Solo, but I have not heard very good things about it, which kind of scares me a little bit.
I will say this, and I know that Chris has his own opinion. To me, Solo was a decent enough action movie, but it wasn't it didn't have the feel of a Star Wars movie to me. It just was missing something, and I'm not one of those people that says, "Oh, because it didn't feel like Star Wars, it wasn't Star Wars." It had Star Wars in it. It's considered a Star Wars. I consider it a Star Wars movie, but it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It was missing something about it. Was just missing. Not that I thought it was a horrible movie. It was an entertaining popcorn movie, but it didn't have that, to quote the French, je ne sais about it.
No, I'd get behind that. My personal opinion of Solo was that it was probably one of the weaker of the Star Wars movies to date. Not for the exact same reasons that other people hated the movie. I actually didn't mind Alden Ehrenreich as Solo. I didn't mind Donald Glover as Lando. He did a better job as Lando than I expected him to. I just felt the story itself was kind of weak. And, of course, there were certain characters in the film. I don't need to re-mention their names, but I would rather have the green space bunny remain canon forever than, or as I stated on Journal of the Jedi, the Jar Jar's retarded half-cousin. be canon than some of the characters that were in Solo. But that doesn't, to me, that doesn't mean. Look, I'll put it this way: do I wish every Star Wars movie was Empire Strikes Back quality and success? Sure, but you know, in reality, is every film going to be a masterpiece? No. We're going to get stinkers here or there, and I'm fine with that. That doesn't mean that the franchise is dead and gone. So to me, could they bring back a Star Wars story standalone film? Sure. But if I were to make a suggestion on it, stop with the origin stories.
Yeah, I would agree.
Part of the fun of Rogue One was that it was expanding on the story, not showing us something that we pretty much already knew.
Yeah, they basically a sit from the opening crawl of A New Hope and made an entire movie out of it.
Exactly,
and I mean,
that was part of the
fun.
I
mean, as far as Solo goes, my biggest thing was it's the movie no one asked for. No one was asking for a Han Solo movie because we already knew everything we wanted to know about Han Solo already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, personally, I didn't need to know where he came from. I didn't want to know anything. I knew everything about Han Solo. I already needed to know through the first four films, from Episode 4 through Episode 7. I knew everything I needed to know about Han Solo. So,
well, I mean,
but anyway,
I mean, you can expand on him, sure. The same way you can expand on Luke.
Yeah.
Like a Star Wars story I would love to see is Luke after Jedi before Force Awakens. Granted, we'd have to get somebody other than Mark Hamill to play the role, and I've advocated before for Sebastian Stan because he looks like a younger Mark Hamill. But regardless of here or there, that's a Star Wars story I'd love to see. Tell me the story of the 30 years between 6 and 7.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell us the story. I mean, if you go even further, tell us the story of the rise and fall of the New Republic.
Yeah. Exactly. The rise of the First Order, the first appearance of the Knights of Ren. Give us which
the Star Wars.
Sorry.
And the Luke Star Wars story with Kylo Ren, like young Ben Solo, arriving at the Luke's temple.
Well, how about this? And this is another period that you can touch on in Star Wars story. The period between the end of Empire and the Return of the Jedi.
You're talking about Shadows of the Empire.
I mean, you don't have to do exactly Shadows of the Empire, but still, you can make a movie that takes place during that time period.
Oh, no, you absolutely can, yeah.
Of the rebels on the run, and that whole thing of that whole time period. There's all kinds of time periods you can do. You can even
give us a Star Wars story of the many Bothans that died to get us these plans.
Yes, Rogue One too. The many Bothans.
That would be cool, actually, because one of the things about Rogue One that I always got a kick out of is a lot of people were confused by Rogue One that I talked to, where they were like, "Wait a minute, they look human. I thought they were Bothans."
No. Those are the plans for the second Death Star.
I know.
Yes.
I know, but a lot of people I knew that, like, I would say are fair weather Star Wars fans confused which spies stole which plans. So.
Yeah.
It's like, no, guys. The Rogue One story was the "Help me, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope" Death Star.
Right.
Yes.
The Bothans were the second Death Star.
Yes.
So to answer your question, yes, I think they should definitely continue with the trilogy films, the new saga films, for lack of a better term. But I don't see a reason why they couldn't. Whether they will or not, I don't know. But I don't see why they couldn't return to a Star Wars story. It's just, like I said, I would stay away from individual character origin. Because most of us in the 40-plus years that Star Wars has been around, we know all we need to know about these characters. Unless you want to dip into maybe some secondary characters like Nine Nub or IG-88 or Bosk, that might be interesting.
Yeah.
But the mainstay characters like Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, we know their stories.
Yeah. The other news, and I know a lot of people are already starting to jump the gun on this one, is Kathleen Kennedy announcing that they were going to be doing more stuff with the Old Republic. And already a lot of people are already starting to speculate, even though she has not officially said anything about a movie or a TV show, people are already starting to speculate with that. And I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think, we've said before that we think the Benioff and Weiss movie will be Old Republic. Do you think we'll be starting getting more stuff with the Old Republic?
I think that's a fair assumption, because it's definitely a nice place for them to go in the Star Wars canon. Now that most of the extended universe is considered an alternate Legends canon, it's there's room for them to tell a lot more stories with the Old Republic.
Yeah. Well, and now that the main saga is coming to an end, I think it's almost a good idea for them to go like, okay, we've gone this far into the future, now let's go back. Let's go back to the Old Republic and tell those stories, because they have so many stories. I mean, as not only Lucas said in the teaser trailer, but Obi-Wan said in A New Hope, you have 1,000 generations of Jedi Knights of their history to tell and their stories to tell, and you have all these thousands upon thousands of years to tell these stories. So I mean, why not go back to the Old Republic and hear those stories?
See, I've advocated from day one when Benioff and Weiss were announced to do at the time a series of films for Star Wars. I was the first one to advocate for the longest time. You don't hire the guys from Game of Thrones and not do the Old Republic. But the Old Republic seems to be a safe play for Disney in my mind. Now, you and I talked about this the other day about if they do it, obviously Benioff and Weiss are expecting backlash, and as we agreed, it's because they won't go beat for beat the Knights of the Old Republic video games and the Old Republic MMO, and they won't go beat for beat of the stories of the comics and stuff like that from Legends. They're going to create their own narrative. But the reason I say it's a safe play is it's something familiar within Star Wars, but it's not bogged down to must tie into current storylines.
Right. And it's also a great opportunity for them to bring some of that stuff from the extended universe back into the main canon fold. So they don't necessarily have to do it beat for beat story-wise, but they can draw a lot of inspiration from that. And that's good from a writing standpoint, to have lots of additional material to draw off of.
Yeah, I think the one thing that they do need to do is, and I think we can all agree that they need that with these potential movies, they need to make Revan canon. It doesn't have to be exactly like the video games, but I think for this to be successful, Revan has to be made canon.
You can't do Old Republic without Revan. You can live without Bastille. You could live without Malak. You could live without a majority of the characters within the Old Republic era. But it wouldn't be, you wouldn't even be able to establish it as an Old Republic time frame without Revan in some way, shape, or form.
Oh. Yeah. Now the question is how much of the old game do they borrow from at all, if at all? I mean, do we get the Mandalorian War? Do we get the Jedi Civil War? What do we get from this? Or do we get something completely different? Do we get a completely different story?
I think if it goes the way I think it would go, I think we get a fresh new take on Revan's redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So movie 1 or episode 1 would be us following a soldier, scoundrel, whatever, just waking up, not knowing his backstory. And then later find out to reveal that he was the most terrifying Sith in that time frame, a.k.a. Revan. That's
That'll be interesting.
obviously not doing it the exact same way they did it within the Knights of the Old Republic video games, but I see that being the smart way of bringing the character in, because then Revan's your main story character, and you're kind of following his redemption, or however way they want to play it.
Yeah,
it'd be a nice way to play it.
That would be. And of course, we have the we've already talked about the yet to be titled Rian Johnson movie, which is, I think that's going to be interesting, considering they've already said it's going to not even take place in the same galaxy. That's going to be interesting how they do that, because I think a lot of people would say, well, if it's not in the same galaxy, how is it Star Wars?
Yeah, please.
That's the only backlash I can.
You got to remember, even in the Legends world, we've traveled outside the Star Wars galaxy and seen things like the Chiss, who are now canon again thanks to Thrawn.
Yeah. And
of course, the dare I invoke the unholy names of the Yuuzhan Vong.
Yeah.
So there is existence of life and civilization beyond the galaxy we know in Star Wars, so it's not unheard of. How is it not still Star Wars if we just step out of one galaxy wall into another?
Yeah. I can see that, but it's still going to be interesting, and it's what's really going to be interesting is how the fandom takes it after, because a lot of people are still salty over Last Jedi, and particularly with the way Rian Johnson did the movie. So it's going to be interesting for me to see how the fandom takes an entire trilogy by Rian Johnson.
I think, and Keith, you can correct me on this yourself, I think the fandom will be a little bit more lenient to Rian Johnson in his own trilogy Unhindered. Because, and the reason I think so is, I think part of the backlash that Rian Johnson dealt with was the fact that he was handling established characters that were so beloved by people that they couldn't understand how those characters got into those positions. Yes, I'm mostly talking about Luke Skywalker, which was a main part of his backlash. Okay, and that they didn't really understand Ryan's vision. Now, you give him all new characters for us to get to know and start from the beginning with, in a whole new scenario where we don't sit there and go like, well, that didn't happen in the previous movies, what the fuck, or whatever. I think we're going to be able to see the guy who made Looper really shine, and then we'll finally be like, oh, you know what, he is good at doing a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment.
I do. I agree too.
Also, I'm pretty sure a lot of the backlash came from Rian Johnson was working with the stuff that was left for him to work with by J.J. Abrams with Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So a lot less wiggle room there to continue a story, especially when you're picking up a story off of somebody else.
Yeah. So and we don't know what JJ told him as far as, okay, this is my vision for the story going forward. Don't do this, and this. We don't know what that conversation was. So
right.
We don't know what, if Rian Johnson was just told, okay, here's the first movie, we want you to write the second movie and go. But so we don't know what that conversation was, if there was a conversation, which of course brings me to
we got to remember episode 9. You got to remember too, episode 9 had a different director. So besides you had what Abrams established in Force Awakens, Johnson was originally writing his script to fit what 9 was supposed to be with that director.
Yeah.
I forget who the director was supposed to be. But
I don't remember either.
It wasn't until pretty much Last Jedi was in theaters that director was gone, and it was announced that Abrams would be completing the saga.
The new, yeah.
So,
and do you think? I mean, with some of the things you saw, do you think? How much do you think with Episode 9 will be? I won't say retconning, but I'd say making changes and making some of the decisions that Rian Johnson made in Last Jedi makes sense.
What is one of the things that J.J. Abrams is most famous for? And no, don't say lens flare.
Aw. That's like the best number one option.
He was famous for a TV show called Lost.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anybody who followed that show, whether you're a fan or not, J.J. Abrams loved throwing red herrings. He loved throwing misdirection in his stories. 6 Ways from Sunday, where you get almost like the M. Night Shyamalan reveal in The Sixth Sense when things start coming together. I am going to voice the unpopular opinion here, and I think that JJ's been the mastermind through all 3 of these films, and I think he's been setting up. I think Rian Johnson did exactly what JJ wanted him to do. Rey's parents being nobodies, and the Knights of Ren not being addressed, and all Luke being the way Luke was, were all intentional under JJ's plan, and JJ's plan is not to retcon, but to red herring. They were misdirections. But the big question you're going to be asking when you're watching Episode 9 is which were retcons and which were red herrings. That's the thing that's going to mess with your head. But I think everything done was intentional.
I could get behind that theory.
I can too. Yeah.
Some of my favorite things about The Last Jedi were the subversion of tropes. Like I loved how when they started everything off and Rey is handing Luke his lightsaber, I loved that his first reaction was to take it and throw it over his shoulder.
That was great.
It was such a subversion of the trope that everything everybody was expecting was like, oh, he's going to take the lightsaber back and like, yes, let's go train and do like all the Jedi stuff and whatever. I loved that he took it and tossed it over his shoulder and walked away. It was great. Yeah.
Well, it was
basically right off the bat telling the audience that this is not going to go the way that you think it's going to.
Hey, that was a line in the movie.
I see what you did there. But for me, it was almost in a way what Yoda did to Luke.
I agree.
I've stated Luke had to beg Yoda to basically teach him.
Yeah, and that's basically what she had to do. It was, I think.
Can we also point out that Luke was just as much of a troll in training Rey as Yoda was training him?
You know what? My favorite scene in the whole entire time is when he gives her first lesson. He has her sitting on the rock, and he's telling her to reach out with the Force. And she puts her hand out, and the first thing he does is start tickling her hand with the goddamn leaf reed. You know, I was laughing so hard in the theater at that. You
know what my thought with that was?
Mark Hamill. It wasn't Luke, it was Mark.
My thought with that scene was you can definitely tell who trained Luke.
Yep.
You can just imagine Obi-Wan and Yoda's Force ghosts standing off to the side watching Luke train Rey, and Obi-Wan's just face-palming the whole time, and Yoda's cackling in the background.
Well, in no way is that shown any less than what you're talking about than the deleted scene of the third actual lesson, where Luke shows that these ships were coming across to the caretaker's village, and then all of a sudden the village is like alight with fire and everything, and Luke has Rey believe that, you know, those are raiders coming to kill and destroy and stuff of that nature. And she goes barreling ass as she sees the fires coming from the village in the distance to go save the caretakers. And she breaks into the village and finds out it's a goddamn festival, and there's Luke standing in the background just laughing.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
That is a deleted scene. You can see that at the end of the on the Blu-ray, the second disc or whatever. So I really wish they would have left that in the movie.
I definitely agree with you that I'm pretty sure everything that happened in The Last Jedi was intended to happen the way it happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking it'll be interesting to see how they're addressed and how these big events are addressed, especially because they've said that there's going to be a period of time that has passed. No idea how long it is, but JJ did say that a period of time has passed between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Well, here's one for you. It's kind of a more conspiracy theory than anything else, but do you get the impression, at least I get the impression of it anyway, that Rian Johnson was kind of hung out to be the heel? That it was placed out before him like, I need the film to go from this point to this point because of Episode 7 and Episode 9. And you're going to catch a lot of backlash for it. I need you to shoulder that and just, stand defiantly that this was your vision until all of it is revealed. Almost like, do you feel that Rian Johnson is a scapegoat? And the reason I ask that is the fact that he does have a trilogy coming. He has fought back with fans and defiantly stood by his creation. Where most other fan films would be like, or not fan films, directors would be like, it's what I thought was right. I'm sorry you guys didn't agree. Rian is adamantly, no, this is the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Do you almost get the impression that he was told by Disney and Lucasfilm, look, you're going to have to shoulder this heat for a while?
It's possible. That's always a possibility.
I don't know. You know better than me about whether or not somebody's playing at being a heel.
It's kind of where I was going with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like I said. It's always the possibility. But as far as one of the complaints a lot of people I've heard some people saying was how dark Last Jedi was, that there was no fun in it. There was no, and I point to them, Empire Strikes Back, anyone?
Yeah.
That was a very dark, for the Star Wars movie, that was one of the darker Star Wars movies of the original trilogy.
It was super dark.
Look, some of the most successful Star Wars films are the ones that are dark.
Han literally cut open an animal and shoved Luke inside of it to save him from dying of hypothermia. You don't get much darker than that.
Well, even Lucas himself had said, when you're making a trilogy, the second movie, in the first movie you introduce the characters. The second movie, you put them in the worst possible situation you could find them in. And the third movie, you resolve it all.
It's the hero's journey.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's exactly what.
There's a formula, guys.
Yeah, even the prequels did the same thing, and as bad as Episode 2 was, that's what it set up. It set up your heroes in the worst possible situation you could find them in, and then 3.
Falling in love at waterfalls in Naboo.
Exactly.
And bitching about sand.
Yes. Which, just off topic right now, the guy at Celebration who wore the burlap sack with sand on it was brilliant. Especially getting the picture with Hayden Christensen. That was awesome.
Please tell me Hayden at least had a look on his face like, oh God, I hate this.
He was smiling in the pic.
It was smiling. But he did get a bunch of other ones. He did get a bunch of other ones with Anakin cosplayers where they're like, he's got his fists up like they're getting ready to fight, and Anakin's got his lightsaber like he's ready to take him out.
No, one of the things that made me thrilled, I know we're talking about a previous Celebration, one of the things that made me thrilled is when they actually brought Hayden Christensen out, and the fandom finally gave Anakin Hayden the respect that I think he's due. For a split second, talking about the prequel trilogy, because we're supposed to be on Celebration, and the news moving forward. I always thought Hayden got a lot of unnecessary heat. It's not his fault how he was told to deliver the lines and how wooden the lines were. But his facial expressions were extremely believable of a boy struggling with his powers and his emotions to the point of pure hatred.
One of my favorite scenes from Hayden in any of the movies is actually from what I consider to be the worst of the Star Wars movies, Episode 2, and no lines were delivered. It was the scene in the Tusken Raider village after his mother dies. You see every emotion go through his face of the dark side right there, and he doesn't utter a line. It's all in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You see anger, you see pain, you see anger, you see suffering, you see hatred, and it just right there. And like I said, not a line is uttered, and that is the mark of an amazing actor.
So when he came out on stage at Celebration to a standing ovation, I felt very proud to be a Star Wars fan at that moment, because I'm like, you know what? It's about time somebody gave him the respect.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. And even though I was not a fan of her character, when Mary Tran came out and the audience gave her an ovation.
Oh yeah, Kelly Marie Tran.
Kelly Marie Tran. I felt the same way. I'm not a fan of the character, but the personal attacks that were gonna get done against her by so-called fans are just so. To see her get that respect to say, you know, hey, we may not like the character, but you're still part of the Star Wars family.
Well, see, that's part of the things that Star Wars fans need to remember. I mean, you look at people like Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks, or Jake Lloyd, who was young Anakin. The fandom and how much hatred they gave those people because of the characters they played is so disgraceful. It drove Ahmed almost to the point of suicide, and God knows the fucked up damage in Jake Lloyd's head.
He quit acting.
Well, I know he quit acting, but his life has been a spiraling mess ever since.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a damn shame. These people are still human beings. They're still people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the fandom, I love Star Wars to death, but I think the fandom does need to tone it down a little bit and remember that these people aren't the actual characters that we love or hate. These are human beings at the end of the day that are paid to do a job.
Yeah.
You know?
Just remember, it's never the act. Well, I shouldn't say never, but it's seldom the actor of the character that makes the character what they are.
Right. It could be the way the character was written. They
sell the character, but they're not the ones who are dictating what that character is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And remember, Mark Hamill
you're Samuel L. Jackson, in which case you're always dictating what that character is supposed to be.
Yes. But remember, Mark Hamill is not Luke Skywalker, okay? He's the Joker.
No, now
everybody knows.
Now he's Chucky.
I still love the conversation that Mark Hamill did of the Joker between the Joker and Luke.
Yeah,
at a con a number of years ago.
Yes.
Well, don't forget now he's the voice of Chucky. So you want to play?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be terrifying.
That is going to be terrifying. I think that's going to... You know what? I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I know that Mark Hamill is a human being, and like all human beings, he uses profanity. But most everything I ever watch Mark Hamill in, he never drops, dirty words and stuff. Chucky is a foul-mouthed character. I think it's going to ruin me to hear Mark Hamill drop the F-bomb. Never have I uttered the phrase "it's going to ruin my childhood," but I think that would actually ruin my childhood. Like, not Luke.
Hearing Luke Skywalker drop the F-bomb, you're gonna be like, no.
My wife is constantly saying that profanity is best used as a verbal slap in the face.
Yeah.
It is most effective when it is not used very often.
Yeah.
She constantly makes fun of me because I'm constantly swearing.
There you go. Yeah, I'm the same way. You're ex-military. That's just how we are.
Oh, not ex.
Oh yeah, you're still current, aren't you?
Yep.
That's right. My apologies. Yes. So you're current, and I'm ex-Navy, and I grew up in Philly. I never had a chance at a clean vocabulary.
I'm current military and I'm also a military brat. I never had a chance.
Exactly. So
yeah. Then you had me over here that grew up in the Midwest and Illinois in a religious home. So I'm just the opposite of you guys.
Just don't put them around any farm animals.
Wow.
Cliffs and Velcro gloves. That's all he needs.
Wow. That went off the rails quick.
There you go. Back to Celebration.
Yes, back to Celebration.
So I don't know if it came out with Celebration or if it was just Star Wars news that tangentially came along with it. There's been a lot of news coming out about the Disneyland parks, Galaxy's Edge setup that they're building right now.
Yes.
And one of the things that I got really excited about is somebody put out a article about how they're going to have a basically build your own lightsaber set up at the parks. And
that looks pretty cool.
At first, I was like, okay, yeah, it's probably going to be like those cheapo plastic things. But I read the article about it from the guy who actually went out and got to try it as a trial run or whatever. He described the weight of the thing as comparable to an old-style Maglite.
Ooh.
Which really made me super excited about it, because I'm like, that's some heft to it.
Yeah.
Like, my Ultra Sabers lightsaber doesn't weigh that much. It's still got pretty good heft to it, and it's nice and sturdy. It's like aircraft aluminum. It's great. But it doesn't weigh the same as an old-style Maglite.
Yeah.
See, I think my replica Vader saber, which is a Force Effects, and all, I think it does have that weight, but I think it has that weight when it has the blade in it. When I take the blade out and it's just the hilt, I think it's just a little bit lighter than a Maglite.
As far as I remember from the article, this guy was talking just the hilt weighed like the Maglite.
Jesus.
Which is super awesome.
And you were saying that there's going to be a lot of details to it, including picking your own kyber crystal and stuff.
Oh yeah, in the article explained how that's going to work as well, and I got really excited for it because you get to pick your color for the kyber crystal. However, the type and cut of the kyber crystal, it remains a mystery up until you open the little pod it comes in to put it in your blade.
I have a question. Can we make it bleed?
That was something I was thinking of too. Like I get a yellow lightsaber crystal and I just turn around and pour my hatred. Maybe it's something that reacts to hand heat or something, and when you open your hand, it's all of a sudden a red crystal.
I don't know. I feel like that would be a thing to ask the people who run it and see if they can implement it later. But I don't think that's the intent behind it. But hey, that sounds pretty cool. I'm sure they could do it.
Well, it would fit with current canon. It would fit with current canon on how a Sith saber is created. Because for those that don't know, in the Legends, the reason Sith lightsabers were red is because red was not something that came from a natural kyber crystal. That was a synthetic crystal. They were manufactured instead of naturally grown. But in current canon, what it is that the Sith user, their dark side user, pours their malice, their hatred, their dark side energies into the crystal, causing the crystal to bleed.
Yeah. And another thing is that makes it, I think I like even better, is to get that crystal, the Sith has to kill a Jedi to take his crystal and then turn that crystal into his own.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't just go to some place and grab a random crystal. No, he has to take it from a Jedi.
I don't think the kyber crystals for the Disney parks are going to work that way, because think of the children.
Oh man!
Well, no, you're right. I'm not talking about going out and killing Jedi and taking their crystal, but I'm saying you get your crystal and say the park worker asks if you want to be a Jedi or Sith, and if you say Sith, then they hand you a crystal that actually reacts to heat activation, like your hand. So they tell you, okay, take that crystal, hold it in your hand, and just be mad. Be mad, be mad, be mad, and then you open your hand and the crystal's red.
Well, you just took away all my...
pretty cool.
You just took away all my fun, Chris, of going out and killing a Jedi.
I didn't say you couldn't. I was thinking of the children.
Scene from Revenge of the Sith with Anakin igniting his lightsaber in amongst the younglings.
Oh, we had to go to the youngling thing. That poor little kid. Master Skywalker. Single tear.
We find out this whole time he was Snoke.
Wasn't that a fan theory for a while?
Yes.
If I remember correctly, I think that was a theory for a while, that little boy survived Anakin and grew up to be Snoke.
Oh, man.
And but no, like,
I am super excited for the whole build your own lightsaber thing at the park. Because the way they were talking about it is, as far as the lightsaber parts for like building the hilt, they have 4 different types of kits. I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head, but they cover a pretty wide range of the Jedi and Sith archetypes for the different parts kits that you'll get.
Well, I can pretty much guess that we'll get the Anakin / Vader style hilt, and we'll get the Luke / Obi-Wan style hilt, because their hilts were very similar to each other.
For the build your owns, I think that they have like a different selection of parts that are more their own, that might mimic some of the parts of the main canon hilts. The main canon hilts themselves, according to the article, are like sold separately. Like, you can buy a fully complete main canon hilt, looks just like everything from the movies.
Yeah.
Separately, or you can elect to go with the build your own.
Well, see, because of the fact you could buy Force Effect lightsabers or whatever, I would definitely, if it were me, I would definitely go for the custom build.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if the blades that that you can get for them are combat ready, like some of the Ultra Sabers, or I know there's a lot of different lightsaber companies and groups out there. I default to Ultra Sabers because that's what I buy for my stuff.
Well, I was going to say there's nothing that says that once these things are coming out in production and people are actually, buying and creating their own lightsabers, there's nothing to say that like Ultra Saber or something else company doesn't get a hold of these things and find a common ground in them and build battle-ready blades that you could purchase to put in your custom builds.
Yeah,
that could be a market.
I would probably think that within a couple of years after this part of the parks opens, we'll start to see probably some listings on Ultra Sabers and some of those other internet saber sites of battle-ready blades that are built to fit those hilts.
Mm-hmm. I would not be the least bit surprised. In fact, I would almost think it would be stupid of companies like Ultra Saber to not do it, because it almost seems like a gold mine. All you're building is a blade.
Yeah. And they sell individual blades on most of these companies sell individual blades on their sites already. So it would really just be changing up the size at least a little slightly. Of course, I don't have one of these hilts from the Build Your Own store at Disney to test it, but there is a possibility that their ready-made blades already will fit.
It's possible.
There's a distinct possibility there.
That is true, but that's what I was saying. If not, then after these things start coming out, like, I'm sure somebody from Ultra Saber or whatever will go to Disney, get a custom lightsaber built just to be able to bring back and say, hey, can we make a blade for this? And then find out there's a market for it. But, neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Either way we're looking at it, I'm sure it's not going to be cheap.
Oh, no.
The blades are generally actually a lot cheaper than the hilts on for some of the lightsabers.
Well, no, I was meaning the custom hilts at the Disney shops.
Yeah, those are probably not going to be cheap.
You're probably looking at a couple $100 just to even do it.
I definitely know that I want to plan a trip to Disneyland or Disney World soon once those shops get up and running.
Well,
maybe I'll capitalize on my next yellow ribbon trip.
There you go.
Well, that leads us actually to our next little discussion, which is they have already announced that Celebration will be happening next year. They're foregoing the typical thing that they have done in the past of doing it every other year, and next year will be in Anaheim.
I wonder why.
Probably at Galaxy's Edge.
True, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is because in the past they've always done this kind of every other year thing of, it was pretty much since 1999. I don't think there's been, maybe the first couple of years they might have done it right after the other, but for the most part it's always been a every other year thing. So that does kind of must make me wonder why they're doing it.
It's got to be more than Galaxy's Edge, because Galaxy's Edge goes live this year, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So
soon actually. Like, I'm pretty sure within the next couple of months.
So, I mean, okay, they're going to do it at Galaxy's Edge, sure, but it's not for Galaxy's Edge. So it does make you wonder. I think it's going to be exactly what we were talking about earlier, which is like after Episode 9, that's when we're going to get the floodgates of the next phase of Star Wars. It's probably going to be at Celebration.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
And by then they'll have at least some footage cut of whatever the next movie's going to be. The next phase of TV shows, cartoons, comics, books, whatever, will all be ready and probably already in production, if not completed. And then it's like, okay, guess what? This is what Star Wars will be now.
And everybody at Star Wars Celebration will be sporting their brand new custom lightsabers.
Yep.
That's right.
Great marketing strategy.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Disney here. I know we always make the joke about the mouse overlord and buying everything and, corruption.
They're a marketing powerhouse. But that's the reason the whole joke came about.
That's exactly where I was going, is they are masterminds of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
They changed copyright law to keep Mickey Mouse from going into the public domain.
That's true.
Wow.
I think there's only one thing on this planet that has as much, if not more, slightly more merchandise than Mickey Mouse, and that may be the Kiss Army.
Yeah.
Because Gene Simmons' fucking cheap ass throws the Kiss name on everything. We joke about like Spaceball's a flamethrower. There probably is a Kiss flamethrower.
I know there's a Boring Company flamethrower. God bless Elon Musk.
So yeah,
that man comes up with some of the stupidest ideas and says, "You know what? Fuck it, let's go for it."
Well, on that wonderful note, Celebration has come and gone, and we got a lot of news. Not going to really go over the trailer. We already did that on Journal of the Jedi, so I think we pretty much went through that with a fine-tooth comb.
The Episode 9 trailer, yeah, but we didn't really get the chance to talk about Mandalorian Episode 7 or
well, let's take a little bit of a break, commercial, and when we come back, we'll dig into the some of the other trailers that dropped and stuff we saw.
All right, we'll do that. Be back in a few minutes.
Why didn't the Three Little Pigs go in for some kind of flat share scheme?
Does Jesus get to choose which wine he turns it into?
Why don't Sims have the upper body strength to climb out of a swimming pool?
And does everybody really want to be a cat.
I'm Will Baker.
And I'm Alex Prescott.
And if you're the type of person that overthinks these deep philosophical questions, then Think to the Brink is the podcast for you.
From Disney characters to song lyrics, debates to social etiquette, tune in every week for your dose of paralysis by analysis.
All topic suggestions are welcome. If you can think it, we can overthink it. Think to the Brink. Available on all podcast platforms.
Hey everyone, this is John Tolley, inviting you to check out War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Each week, me and my co-host Christopher Stolley discuss the news and theories surrounding one of the largest movie franchises in the world. So join us every Wednesday at 8 as we travel to the galaxy far, far away, right here on Anchor FM and wherever fine podcasts are heard.
You know, when you need CBD, vape juice, or a new mod, go to Vape Scorpion. 10859 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 1116. They are formerly known as East Coast Vapor. They have all your needs, all the equipment, all the juice. And hey, while you're there, sit down, enjoy a beer, your own, and just hang out with a bunch of cool people. So guys, if you really need your next vape machine, or maybe you just want to try a locally made juice, make sure you hit up Vape Scorpion. That's 1085 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19116. Or give a call to 215-464-8273. Oh yeah, and make sure you let them know that Realm of the Mist Entertainment sent you.
He said that she said, how dare you say that? That's offensive. Well, someone's gonna say it. It had to be said with Venus. Catch the live show Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the recordings at any time. Guest just weekly. Listener, beware. Mature content, sexual content, trigger warning. Do you dare say it?
Hi, my name's Chris, and I'm here to tell you about Realm of the Mist podcast. Realm of the Mist podcast, we talk about all the great entertainment things from movies, books, comic books, and many other forms of entertainment, as well as politics, current events, and just general humor and having a good time. If you're looking for a podcast that is right up your alley, look no further than Realm of the Mist podcast here on Anchor.fm or where fine podcasts can be heard.
Hi, this is Dave from the Comic Collection at 83 Busselton Pike in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Our phone number is 215-357-3332. We are right next to Northeast Philadelphia. We have action figures, gaming, statues, albums, and CDs, graphic novels, other knickknacks, and, of course, comics. Established in 1985, we are your go-to store. Come by and say hello, and say that the guys from Radiocast FM Radio sent you. The address again is 83 Busselton Pike, Feasterville, Pennsylvania, or call 215-357-3332.
Three-eyed turtle? Is that alright?
What the fuck is a three-eyed turtle?
Want some mustache ride?
Are you tired of the same old podcast with no humor? Well, join us for After Hours, where everything is funny, at least to us, on Anchor.fm and where quality podcasts are heard.
How the fuck did we get on this?
I don't know.
Fucking FCC started this shit. It's their fucking fault.
Hey everyone, this is Dak.
This is Liam.
And this is White People Shit.
We are a bi-weekly podcast.
Whoa. Maybe you're bi-week. I'm straight and strong.
It means twice a week, you douche.
Oh. Yeah, listen to us twice a week. On White People Wednesdays, we talk about gay stuff, zombies, superhero sex positions.
And on Featured Peep Fridays, we interview the Featured Peep of the Week.
Yeah, like a fucking free.
Just search WPS Podcast and look for the white dude in red pajamas.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, where else you get your podcasts.
We believe in equal opportunity humor, where all things can be made fun of. So if your feelings hurt and you're offended, you can always
eat a dick.
And welcome back. And as we were talking about before, we got not only the episode 9 trailer, but we got some other trailers too. And I finally got a look at the Clone Wars trailer. And wow. That's all you have to say. Wow. That was. And not quite as good as the Emperor cackling, but hearing Maul at the end was, I heard that voice. I'm like, wait a minute. I recognize that. Oh.
Hands down,
Yes.
one of my favorite villains of the Star Wars canon.
Maul?
Has been for like.
Now, are we
ever
talking
since
about
I saw him in the Phantom Menace.
Well, I was about to say, are we talking about the Ray Parks Maul, or are we talking about the Sam Witwer voice acting of Maul?
Honestly, both. The character just as a whole has been one of my favorites because his silent ruthlessness in the Phantom Menace, and then actually like getting to know the deeper lore behind his character in later canons, like if I remember correctly, he popped up in a few episodes of Rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was in Rebels and Clone Wars, yeah.
And getting to know that backstory lore behind him, and just the great job that the voice actor did for him.
Oh, and really expanding that character so much and making him like more than just a monster.
Well, the best way I can describe it is like when Sam Witwer in Clone Wars and in Rebels gave so much more of a voice and showing how intelligent and articulate Maul was, that he wasn't just an angry savage as we kind of looked at him in Phantom Menace. I kind of equate that to very similar, and people are going to laugh at this maybe, as like Wile E. Coyote in the old Looney Tunes cartoons. You know, because for the longest time you see Wile E. Coyote just hungry going after Roadrunner, but then you got those episodes where you find out that Wile E. Coyote's super genius, and he starts talking, and he's articulate, and he's intelligent, and it's almost like that. That's how I looked at Maul when all of a sudden we started really digging into the mental state of Darth Maul.
Yeah, well, that's why I thought it was so interesting when they brought.
I never doubted Maul's intelligence, even in his first debut in Phantom Menace, because I just saw his silence and lack of speaking as the Anakin and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were his targets.
Yeah.
You don't talk to your targets.
He was a hunter.
You just take them out.
Yeah.
They're beneath you. You don't need to explain anything to them.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting when they brought in his brother. When they brought in Savage. And Savage was almost what I think a lot of people thought that Maul was this just force of this just brute force nature, and but he wasn't. Like we said before, he was in many ways he was a Sith, if that makes any sense. He
was a student. He was a student of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
He very much was like the perfect example of a good Sith apprentice.
Yeah.
Where Dooku was more of the aristocrat, Vader was just out of control. But you look back on the older Sith like Bane or Revan or the Nihilus and stuff, and Maul would really fit into their category as Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Maul was definitely old school Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One could argue he was the last of the old school Sith.
Oh yeah. Well, I think he believed. I think of the last three of the Sith apprentices of Maul, Dooku, and then Vader. Maul believed the propaganda. Maul was I wouldn't say believe the propaganda. I'd say Maul was a true believer.
Right.
I don't know. I think Dooku was using the Sith for his own gain. Vader was just there because he thought he had no other option. Maul was a true believer.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that he was doing the best not only for himself but for the galaxy, and he believed in the Sith way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think that the other two. I don't even know if Palpatine truly believed in the Sith way. That for Palpatine, it was all about personal power,
which to him was the Sith way.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's not technically wrong.
No.
But when you break it down to its essentials, Maul was very much fit for the lifestyle of the Sith, because the Sith, especially after the introduction of the Rule of Two, the Sith very much was survival of the fittest. The idea was an apprentice should kill his master.
Yeah.
So, who's more perfect for that than a hunter?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Who's more perfect for that kill or be killed mentality than a hunter? Maul was born for the dark side.
Yeah.
I just think it would have been great to see Maul come back and kill Palpatine. That would have been cool.
That would have been interesting, but I would have loved to see an Anakin Maul fight.
Yeah.
Or Vader, or at least Vader before the suit. Hell, even Vader after the suit, like in Rebels. If we could have had Maul and Vader cross blades once.
Yeah. Because I think having Maul kill, fight Palpatine and kill Palpatine, that takes away from Vader's redemption. That was the key part of Vader's redemption, was him throwing Palpatine over the railing.
I didn't say fit. I just said I thought it would be cool.
Yeah, I mean it would be interesting, like what if story. Which Star Wars Theory, if you're watching this, I know you do these what if videos. There's one for you. What if Maul killed Palpatine?
Have you guys ever seen the Star Wars What If theory of making Anakin a Crash Master?
No, I did not.
No.
Oh, it was this great long one I found a while ago, and it talked about like what was his biggest problem: attachments. So make him in charge of all the younglings, so that he has to hand them off to the Jedi to become Padawans eventually, and help him get over his attachments.
Oh.
And they came up with this whole thing of Anakin was a great Crash Master because he was never wrong about who was whose Padawan.
Huh. Well, that's the one thing. Like, I know we got to delve in one day to the actual characters of Star Wars, as we've been doing with the women's series. We've really got to delve into Anakin, because before his downfall and becoming Vader, as much as we just sang the praises of Darth Maul, Anakin really was a student of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I mean, that boy wasn't just naturally gifted. I mean, he studied hard. Even in the books and the comics, he knew every Jedi Master, every Padawan. He knew their strengths and their weaknesses, their fighting styles, how they meditated. He studied the whole entire Jedi Order.
Yeah.
And we could definitely delve into some of that shit, because that's borderline creepy how much he studied.
And it served him well when he did get in the suit, because, like you said, he knew every style, he knew every strength, every weakness.
Yep.
So once he was Vader and he was out hunting these Jedi, he had quite an advantage, and he had an advantage of teaching his Yeah, I can't think what they call them now. The people, the Jedi hunters.
Oh, the Inquisitors.
The Inquisitors, of telling them, hey, this is who you're fighting. These are his weaknesses.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You've definitely got to have passed that on. And you know he kind of did. You know he kind of did that. I know again it's Legends more than anything else. He did that in The Force Unleashed with Starkiller.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, Starkiller was trained by Vader to know how to kill Shaak-Ti and I forget the General Coda, and I forget the one that was at the Raxus Prime junk temple.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've played any of those.
I forgot his name for Rexus.
Yeah,
you know, but
he didn't end up killing Coda.
No, but
blinded him.
He blinded him. Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a lot of parallels between Coda and Kanan.
There really is.
Yeah.
Almost like they recycled the character.
What?
Except for instead of a Jedi General, now we have just a young Padawan who changed his name.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've also finally got to see I don't know if you call it a trailer, but the first look at The Mandalorian, and I was impressed.
Right? That costume design and that set design is on point.
Yes.
It looks like a Star Wars story. It looks like it fits within the universe.
It looks...
Was I
it
wrong
looks
on
like a
having
Western...
an old Western feel? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely had that old Western feel. And I love seeing that all the aliens, that we're going to see all these weird aliens again that, you know, all reminiscent of the Cantina scene.
See,
we can't get more space Western than the Cantina.
Oh, no.
See, that's one thing. That's one thing I think the current stage of Star Wars has been missing a lot is the familiar aliens populating the galaxy. Like, yeah, we've seen a couple new aliens in like The Force Awakens and all, but and we saw a couple of them on Canto Bight in Last Jedi. But for the most part, like Twi'leks and Zabrats and Bothans and Solstians and all, they were all really kind of missing from this new trilogy. So I'm really hoping that not only do we get to see the weird aliens, but we see familiar ones.
And I think that's one thing that really separated Star Wars from the other Star franchise, Trek, was in Star Trek, most of the aliens are just humans with little ridges on their nose or bumpy foreheads or pointy ears. Whereas in Star Wars, you have these very unique, different aliens that you looked and like, oh, that looks nothing like a human.
With the exception of the devil.
Yes, yeah. What
in the Cantina scene on A New Hope, you had one guy dressed as a devil. We had another guy in a werewolf costume. Like, they were just reaching.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Whatever works, works.
That's true.
They recycled some old Doctor Who costumes for some of the bounty hunters.
That is true. Never thought about that, but that is true.
Yeah, we're talking like the old black and white Doctor Who stuff.
Which is really fitting for George Lucas when he was creating Star Wars anyway, because of the fact that he did really base it off of the Flash Gordon serials. He loved the old black and white serial TV shows, so that definitely makes a lot of sense. Hey, I'll take that from one of the longest running TV serials on television, even back then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure they were on Tom Baker by the time Star Wars rolled around.
I'm not a Whovian, so I couldn't tell you the full details. I
Hashtag best doctor.
I could just tell you that I respect a franchise that lasts that long.
Oh, definitely. I have yet to see the not being a gamer. I have yet to see the new Jedi Fallen Order trailer. But at least the whole thing, what I've seen, it looks really impressive. But like I said, I'm not much of a gamer as far as that type of a game, those type of games go.
I know that a lot of people are holding their breath on this one because after Battlefront 2, they don't trust EA.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of EA just riddling it with microtransactions and loot boxes and making it pay to win. And they don't actually trust that EA is going to actually put out a single-player game.
Yeah.
I see. I would make that argument more for Battlefront 1. Battlefront 2, yeah, there was the debacle with the loot crate stuff in the beginning. But, I mean, if I had any real complaint about Battlefront 2 is the fact that the campaign was short.
Yeah.
It was there, and they did give us a DLC with Resurrection, but I would have liked a little bit longer of a solo campaign out of Battlefront 2. But overall, I think Battlefront 1 was actually worse than Battlefront 2. Personal opinion, shoot me if you want, but, you know, looking at it for what it is, I actually thought Battlefront 2 was the better game.
I from the kind of gamer I am, I very much prefer RPGs and stuff like that. So single player is really my bread and butter. I don't do a whole ton of multiplayer. I play it sometimes, but it's really I'm going to be getting on a multiplayer lobby with people that I know.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm right there with you. I mean, I don't mind MMORPGs like Dungeons & Dragons Online or Neverwinter on consoles, or, you know, Fallout 76 or Elder Scrolls Online, sure, but I would rather sit down and play a single-player RPG. Hell, right on this channel, you can go scroll down and look at all my Let's Plays of game series. I rarely play multiplayer with people, because of the fact that I get more enjoyment out of the story immersion.
Yeah.
Than I do from just sitting there and having stupid banter while bashing buttons. Even though we have done Call of Duty and Order 69 Battlefront 2 plays with parties of people.
Order 69.
That was born because for a little while we were connected up to another podcast called The Cocky Cockpit. They unfortunately had closed down to pursue other avenues, adventures, you know, but Order 69 was born from us all getting together and playing Battlefront 2 every week together with fans that listened in. So, and I was actually asked by the creator of Order Cocky Cockpit to keep Order 69 alive. So that's why we still run it on occasion.
I know I'm definitely planning on picking up Jedi Fallen Order like as soon as it launches, because I know for Realm of the Mist, I definitely wanted to be able to do like maybe a Let's Play and a review podcast for it for Press A Gaming, but I'm definitely planning on picking it up as soon as it launches. Whether or not it's actually going to be any good or not, I'm also kind of holding on with bated breath there. It looks really great, and it looks like it's going to scratch that itch I've had for a while. But I also don't trust EA.
Well, the only negativity,
a lot of games.
The only negative, which by the way, you heard it here first, folks. Zephyr is going to be running the Let's Play of Jedi Fallen Order, which means I could buy the game and just fucking play it. That's awesome. I'm happy about that. But no, the only thing negative I've really heard about Jedi Fallen Order right now, which, you know, goes back to politics, is I've been seeing reports of people being pissed off that the main protagonist in the story is white.
I mean, there's still the distinct possibility that they're going to throw a custom character at us.
But that's something I was thinking too.
They might be showing because getting a look at the main protagonist they've shown in the trailer so far, he looks super plain. Like, I have a feeling that we're going to get custom character thrown at us because he definitely looks just ordinary.
Well, see, that's where I was going to go with it. Is like, wait until we actually see some, gameplay, or even more so, like, to see if there is a custom creation to it. Because right now, to me, the character is kind of like Commander Shepard of Mass Effect. The marketing showed a very vanilla character, a default character, but once you got the game, you knew you could create man, woman, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever you wanted. So there's nothing to say that you can't do that in this game. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. And just about everything that we've been shown so far doesn't really give anything to tell us there won't be any custom character creation.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was going with it. Is at the end
we haven't been given a name for the protagonist yet.
Which I'm really excited to find out what his name is.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm leaning toward they're probably going to throw a custom character at us, is because they haven't given us a name and they've dropped the trailer already. So if they don't give us a name to the character in any subsequent trailers, it's a safe bet that we're probably going to get custom character.
Well, again, not to throw Mass Effect into the equation again, but remember, with Mass Effect you had full customization, and the only thing that was set was the fact that the character's last name would be Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's very possible they could drop a name and call the character Skywalker, but you can have a custom first name because you're creating a custom character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously he's not going to be a Skywalker. I'm just throwing a name out there, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I
did like the fact that someone pointed out that you had with Mark Hamill, you had a Jedi who ended up playing the Joker, and now you have the Joker who's going to end up playing a Jedi.
Not wrong. Not wrong at all. But so I mean, yeah, I'm super excited for Jedi Fallen Order. For the people that are naysayers because of the character being too vanilla for them or whatever else, wait and see. Like Zep said, we don't know what the game's going to entail, and until we see if there is or is not a customization, is or is not a full character name, is or is not a completely linear story that requires a non-random protagonist to it, you don't really know if that's going to be final product.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes out for any news related to Fallen Order until it launches.
And of course, you heard it here first, folks. Press A Gaming will have a Let's Play of Jedi Fallen Order from day of release, hosted by Keith Zephyr Partlow. And of course, we will probably be doing a panel review of it on Press A Gaming Podcast coming very, very soon.
Yeah, I'll give you 3 guesses what the name of my character is if they let me name it.
Harvey. Jebediah. Shanae.
You're going to use all 3 guesses, aren't you?
Shanae. Yes.
Shanae.
Yes. You have to name her Shanae.
If I remember it once it launches. We got to wait till November, remember.
November to remember. There you go.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap things up here at War of the Stars. And, but yeah, Celebration has come and gone. And now it's just looking forward to all the things coming in the future. So a lot of exciting things And I think this is the first time in a while that I am hopeful and excited and what's the word I'm looking for? Optimistic about Star Wars. For a while after Last Jedi and the backlash with that, there wasn't really a lot of optimism, and I feel that optimism is back.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the opposite end of the coin. Like, yes, I'm obviously excited for the new material coming out. I'm stupidly excited for Episode 9, but I mean, I've always been optimistic for what follows. I think one of the biggest things I'm feeling, especially after the celebration, is that just knowing that we're getting that much closer to the end of 40 years of storytelling with the Skywalker saga. And I'm very saddened by the fact that I know this is the final film. Yes, Star Wars will live on, but the Star Wars that I've always known is ending. So it's a very bittersweet pill.
I agree. But...
So I mean that's just the way I see it. But
yeah.
It doesn't diminish my excitement for what is to come and what is going to come in the future.
I will always
in motion. The future is.
Always in motion.
Yep.
Did they ever name what species Yoda was?
No, and I hope they never do.
They kind of did. Lucas originally, a long time ago, was talking about Yoda being a will. It was never cemented in canon, but Lucas was hinting that Yoda's race was supposed to be the Wills. At least within concept creation of Yoda.
Yeah.
So, of course, things have changed since then.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that was the closest they ever gave to Yoda's identity. Or racial identity.
Yoda, race, Muppet.
Mutated Kermit.
Well, so let's get things wrapped up, and we'll start with you, Keith. Keith, where can people reach you at?
You guys can find me on the Realm of the Myths website. Any podcast that they happen to Shanghai me into at the time, and Press A Gaming once we get that started rolling.
And Chris, where can people find you at?
You can find me exclusively wherever the Realm of the Myths logo pops up at the beginning of the podcast.
That's right. And you can find me right here every Wednesday night on War of the Stars and elsewhere on Realm of the Myths whenever I get a chance to be a guest on one of those shows. You can also find me on Facebook at Mark Tolley, on Twitter at John Mark Tolley 1, because I'm, of course, the #1 John Mark Tolley on Twitter. On Instagram at John Tolley 3930. And everywhere else Realm of the Mist is. You can find me there. And you can also remember, if you liked this show, remember to, if you're watching this on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes if you're listening there. If you're on Anchor, remember to give us support us there. And also on Patreon. And also buy the new War of the Stars t-shirt.
Merchandise page on the website coming soon. Also, let's not forget, since we're talking about merchandise, yes, War of the Stars, a custom t-shirt that is designed by Mr. John Mark Tolley himself, will be available for purchase through the website. Just go to the merchandise page. That will be up soon. But also another member of Realm
$25 for...
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, promote your shirt.
Oh, sorry. $25 for U.S. and Canada, $35 for international is going to be the price of the shirt. So...
there you go. And also another panelist of ours, Miss Kristen Stovall, as many of you who listen to our podcast for a while know, she is a author of the Song of Souls trilogy, and she did complete her 3rd book. She's in the editing process. It's going to be releasing very, very soon. We will be linking to the merchandise page for her as well, where you can connect directly to be able to not only purchase book 1 and book 2, but to be able to order and purchase book 3 when it releases. So keep an eye out on that on the Realm of the Mist website, seen in the description down below.
Good gift ideas if you're married to a bibliophile.
Yeah.
He used big words.
Also, the link leading to this merchandise on the website is totally going to read merchandising, right?
Actually, right now it just says merch, but it might have to switch to that.
Come on, we have to make the Spaceballs reference.
Well, it's not too different from the website I used to have for my old band, which was called Disillusion Purity. And we abbreviated Disillusion Purity as DIP. So when we had a website for the longest time, the merchandise page was called Dip Shit.
I love it. Love it. All right. Always great to end the show on a laugh. So next week we will bring back our look at the women of Star Wars, and this time we're going to look at some of the unsung women of Star Wars. A lot of the female characters that may not have gotten a lot of the love, or just some of the characters that were background characters or didn't get a lot of look. We didn't really get a lot of look at them in maybe the main movies, but were expanded on more in the books, the animated series, and the comics. So look forward to that. Until then, may the Force be with you.
Always.